Hello, and welcome to another Can't Do episode of We Only Look Thin. I'm your Can't Do host, Catherine Weigel.
Yeah.
I have lost about 120 pounds and kept it off for, 6 years, 7 years, whatever. I'm a Tiny Habits certified coach. I'm a Thrive Global certified coach.
Yeah.
And with me today is my Can Do husband.
Donald Weigel. And there's one thing I can't do, and that's disappoint the listeners.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Let's not prove them right or wrong.
I have lost about 100 pounds. I have kept it off for 5.5 years-ish.
Congratulations.
And I am here to talk about it. I am one half of We Only Look Thin. This is our podcast. You are listening to it with your ears, and
Good
here
job.
we are.
Congratulations. You've made it through the first couple of minutes, minute and a half, something like that. I don't know. Anyway.
I don't know, like a minute.
Yeah. Oh, congrats. Where are we going to go from here is what you might be asking yourself.
Well, thank you for listening this week,
you.
everyone. We appreciate it.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
So we are here and we can do this podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Donald thought I was trying to sabotage this episode by distracting him.
Yeah, just before this episode, she gaslit me by making up an imaginary hummingbird outside our window, and by the time I looked, it was gone, and then she just accused me of, like, turning my head in slow motion. Yeah.
You can't do slow-mo when there's a hummingbird.
With a hummingbird?
No,
yeah.
you can't. But you know what? That hummingbird feeder is a really great analogy for this episode.
Oh, is it?
It is. I actually was going to say this when I bought the hummingbird feeder, but here we go. So I'll start here. We're going to talk about self-sabotage.
Oh, yeah.
And impatience. And how sabotage relates to that. So I bought this hummingbird feeder because I wanted to attract hummingbirds because we have one.
I mean, because they're cool.
So I bought it. And then as soon as I set it out, I just started staring at the window. I was like, when are they should just all attack each other. I want it to be kind of dangerous, like an Alfred Hitchcock, The Birds situation where
you just wanted hummingbirds dive bombing it
and
one after the
just
other.
harming one another
to
get to the sweet, sweet nectar.
Yeah, because you're such a bird lover.
Because I'm a bird lover. But
Obviously.
that's actually a good point. So I was just like, I'm just going to stare. I'm not going to do any work. I'm just going to stare and wait for the results.
Yeah.
Are you guys getting the point of this?
Yeah, I'm starting to.
And our daughter was like, what are you doing? I'm like, I just want the hummingbirds to come. And they did not come the first day.
Yeah.
And they didn't come the second day. And I was really angry. And I thought, I should get rid of this faulty hummingbird feeder
It's
because
the feeder is
it's
the problem.
the feeder that's the problem. And then I thought to myself, you know what? This is a lot like weight loss. We buy the thing, we fill the container. I am actually kind of like trying to low key like look out the window to see if I
It's the Bowflex. The Bowflex is to blame.
I bought it and now the results should just happen. But the real question is, am I interested in a bunch of murderous hummingbirds? In like some sort of horror Hitchcock situation
Suddenly
where
the hummingbirds are murderous.
they're murderous and attacking and they just they're out for blood.
You're mad because this isn't happening.
Right.
Yeah.
Or am I a bird lover?
Yeah.
Do I identify as someone who loves birds? And if they come and get the nectar, they get it. But it's just making me happy to know that I am a part of it. I still haven't figured out what my intention is with this hummingbird feeder, but this ties into weight loss.
But you did figure out, you went back to the drawing board, so to speak.
I did.
And you actually analyzed your behavior, which in this case was you hadn't quite mixed the nectar enough, right? Like in the right way. You hadn't put enough sugar in it.
Well,
the first
and
time.
that was actually our daughter's growth mindset suggestion. Instead of focusing on the birds, the things out of my control, what is in my control?
Yeah.
And one of the controls was the amount of sugar syrup. I basically just filled it with corn syrup now, just to see if they would arrive. So we'll see. But really,
well, allegedly one of them showed up right before we started the podcast.
And then I cricked my neck.
Seems to be working.
It seems to be working.
Yeah.
But my daughter helped remind me that focusing on the process and the identity of someone who cares for the birds. I'm basically Saint Assisi at this point. I think that was the one that liked the birds or the animals.
Yeah.
Or was that Snow White?
I don't remember.
Anyway.
Yeah,
but,
no, well, Snow White definitely did, yes.
So I was focusing on the end of what I wanted instead of the process. And a lot of that comes down to mindset, doesn't it, Donald? See, I wrapped it back around.
It really does. And Catherine found an article online, which the title of it is 10 Signs You're Engaging in Self-Sabotaging Behavior. And you might think to yourself, with the title 10 Signs You're Engaging in Self-Sabotaging Behavior, that Catherine and I are going to go through those 10 signs.
Oh, no.
And put our own spin on it. That is not what's happening.
No, we didn't even get that far.
No, we didn't even get that far.
It would be really funny if that was on the website for the hummingbird feeder for Q&A. Self-sabotaging hummingbird behaviors.
Exactly. So the article begins with a section about self-sabotaging mindset and things that you're thinking. And we may do some future episodes about the rest of the article, but this episode we're going to focus on the beginning part. And you may be saying to yourself, what does self-sabotage and hummingbirds have to do with weight loss and fitness?
Oh, we're going to tie it up into a bow for you today, people.
And,
lovely people.
The answer,
lovely people.
The answer, spoiler alert, is I spent many years sabotaging myself and, essentially lying to myself about the reasons why I couldn't hit my goal weight. And it really wasn't until I actually got really honest with myself and really acknowledged my own part in my own, stuck in a rut behavior cycle that allowed me to get out of it and move forward and actually achieve my goal weight.
Exactly. And a lot of that mindset stuff, and this was sort of the analogy I was going to make before the hummingbird feeder analogy, was what stories are you telling yourself about your life and the role that you play in it? What kind of a story is it? And where we find stories in things called bookstores and libraries. Libraries aren't actually set up the same way as bookstores are, so we're going to stick to the bookstore analogy. For you kids out there, it's a place where people put paper.
They still have those. It's like the internet, only with real paper books.
Yeah, and there's no swiping.
and you can walk there physically.
Yeah, and if you swipe, you're in trouble. Don't swipe anything from
no
there.
swiping swiper?
I was actually going to say that.
Yeah.
So, but when we walk, let's imagine we're taking you to a lovely bookstore. You walk in, first thing I do is forget every book I've ever wanted to read ever.
Right.
That just happens.
And everything I've ever been interested in my whole life goes right out the window. I'm like, I don't know where I want to look.
So I just go to like the coffee area or where they have like the interesting bookmarks.
Yeah.
But let's pretend that we're focused and we're not deranged. And sorry, I don't know why. I just sort of wanted you to laugh.
Let's pretend we're not deranged. Again, Catherine does this thing. Everyone thinks she's so nice. She does this thing. She loves to wait to when I'm drinking something, whether it's during the podcast or just in life. Like when I'm drinking something, she amps up her comedy like to an extra level to make me either choke or have to
deranged is not appropriate. We're not either not focused or deranged. There's a lot in between there. But okay, so I'll just put on my blinders and pretend I don't see hummingbirds and Donald drinking hot coffee. Luckily, he's got like a protective cap on his coffee, so it's not going to spill on his lap, and he can't sue me. But
oh, you're getting sued.
But we've made this analogy before. What genre of book is the story of your life? Where do you categorize it right now? Would you find it in the Greek tragedies? Would you find it in the comedy, in the horror, in the self-improvement, self-help section, in the like sad emo poetry section? Because how we narrate our lives really does matter in the possibility for success. I actually just found a quote from Facebook from me. I'm going to quote myself from when I started doing the Couch to 5K program.
I'm quoting the great thinker, Catherine
The thinker
Weigel.
of thoughts,
Yeah.
Catherine Weigel. And there's a quote, I can't remember if it was Einstein or Rockefeller or whatever, but
Now, you, in this episode, you have compared yourself to Saint Assisi, Snow White, Einstein, and Rockefeller so far.
no, I think it was Thomas Edison. But who knows?
You're now Thomas
I
Edison.
don't know. Okay. I don't remember who people are, but
Yeah.
I remember big thinkers of thoughts.
Yeah, like you.
Yeah.
Like yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
But it was whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. And it was about me. I posted it next to my Couch to 5K program. I did week 5 of the Couch to 5K program. And it was whether I think I can do it or I can't do it, I'm right. And I started and stopped that program 90 times
Yeah.
before I finally adapted it to work for myself. And I actually completed it. And it's sort of, again, that whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. And so mindset and what we think we can and can't do really does matter, which again ties into this. So again, what genre are you in? What genre would you say you used to be in?
Horror comedy.
Or-
Is there a good-looking genre?
I was definitely in like the snarky, passive aggressive, must be nice victim area.
Yeah,
of the bookstore.
I don't know what the category is, but it's basically what you just said. Like it was the put upon victim category, like blaming everything outside of myself.
Next to the food porn area, probably.
Hey, and before I forget, I'm going to link to this article. It's by a gentleman named Steve Scott on happierhuman.com. I don't want to forget to credit the author. And, you know, he says at the beginning that self-sabotage is often represents a subconscious gap between what you say you want and your commitment to getting what you want. So, in other words, you say you want to lose weight, but then you eat because of stress, or you go to the gym and then you buy yourself fast food or like a cake as a reward for that. So you're basically, you know, sabotaging yourself from achieving the goal that you're saying that you want to achieve.
Exactly. And so I know Donald said that we weren't actually going to read the article. We're just going to read the part at the beginning before he gets to his points, which is classic Donald and Catherine behavior. Yeah. But he lists 6 different things that we might say to ourselves that are sabotaging. So we're going to talk about each of those and then give you some tips and suggestions on how to reframe those.
Yeah. And so the first one is you say to yourself, I don't deserve this. Or you ask the question, do I deserve this? And this is a way that you let your past failures convince you that you don't deserve to hit your goal. And it also involves something called imposter syndrome, which is that you attribute your success to luck, or you assume that others could do it better.
Right.
And, you know, you don't give yourself credit for actually achieving the things that you can achieve. You know, there's this feeling, I think I especially felt it in my early 20s, but even sometimes, you know, much later than that I'm not like a real adult.
Yeah.
Like real adults were like the people I saw on TV that were in the 50s that like smoked pipes and had, you know, ties on all the time.
Briefcases. Lots of briefcases.
Yeah. And like, I'm just some like fake adult, and I don't know why like nobody is, you know, watching over me while I do all of these things.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, just the idea that good things, success, praise, love, progress is something that is a mirage in the future. If someone compliments me now, if someone hires me for a job, if I think I can do something, really it's after I'm richer, more educated, more informed, older, you know, it's this mirage in front of you that you never get to because it's always just beyond your reach. I didn't go to college right out of high school because I had imposter syndrome. Oh, people who go to college are smarter and more informed and more adjusted. And like,
they're not.
And guess what? They're not.
They are very much not. Have you seen college kids? Yeah.
But we've also been told, don't brag, be modest. Like, don't, anything that we have is a fluke. Oh, well, if I'm down on the scale, it was just a fluke. If I'm being healthy, that was just a fluke. If I'm married to the most handsomest husband in all the land.
In all the bookstore.
Is it a fluke for me or for you?
I think,
for both of us?
It's for both of us.
It's for both of us.
I'm going to say it's for both of us because we're married and I love you.
But I think we're brought up as a sarcastic and funny person with occasional good looks in the right angles. It's that self-effacing humor it ties into what we think we're capable of achieving. And if we just keep saying like, oh, I'm a trash rat, oh, that was a fluke, that was whatever, then we'll keep believing that. And I've definitely, like in the last 5 or 6 years of having Wolt, been in situations where someone has been like, you're an inspiration. And it's like, I'm actually a trash rat. Like, that's not cool. That's not cool. It minimizes them and it minimizes us, and we're not trash rats.
Yeah. And look, you are one of the leading experts in this field. Like, I honestly don't know anybody I've not come across anybody online or in person who does a better job at this than you do.
Trick your spouse into being complimentary. I'm already deflecting.
I'm just riding your coattails. And you're super good looking in all lights and angles, despite what you just said a minute ago.
So instead of saying, I don't deserve this, or do I deserve this? Why don't we celebrate a moment of getting away with it? We have gotten away with the charade of how awesome we are. Why not? Does it hurt to just say that we've gotten away with it? But what we can really do is, and just thinking about it as unfolding like a novel, like, wow, I can't wait to see how this all works out. Like, what if I actually embodied the identity of someone who believed in themselves?
Yeah, I mean, the shortcut, phrase to this is fake it until you make it. And but it actually can work, pretending to be the person that you want to be, or pretending to ask yourself, what would a healthy, fit person do in this situation? And then doing that. If you do that enough, you then become that healthy, fit person who does those things.
Well, and actually being excited about wow, I wonder how I'm going to figure this out. How exciting for me. There have actually been times my go-to default now is if I'm in a situation with a customer service person or a problem with someone, and it's kind of maybe it's off-putting and aggressive, but who knows? I'm trying on a new personality.
Yeah.
Is going I can't wait to see how we're going to figure this out. We're going to get to the bottom of this, and I can't wait to see what happens. And it kind of scares people a little bit. It's scaring you.
Would you say that being aggressive and off-putting is a new personality for you? That's the question I'm wondering.
But okay, and here's my final point. Maybe Donald has another one.
Oh yeah, no, we're not done.
What if you forgot that you had imposter syndrome? What if there's a plot twist in the book?
Yeah, what if you're in the kind of book where people get amnesia?
Yeah, or that's a very soap opera thing.
Yeah.
What if you just wake up and you're like, wow, I think I do deserve this. That's pretty great. It actually does that kind of feeling. You get used to it, and it feels a lot better than being the victim in the book, being the hero of the plot, where suddenly plot twist, you're the hero and you're the one that gets it done. Feels pretty awesome. We're in the top 30 of nutrition and health podcasts now, which is pretty rad. What am I going to write letters to Apple? Please stop writing reviews. If you could just let's be honest now. We're not going to do that. We're pretty rad.
Yeah, we are pretty rad. And then I think another side of this is that sometimes we focus on everyone other than ourselves, and we put their happiness before ours. And it can feel actually wrong to do something for ourselves. And, concerning ourselves with our weight, our health, our fitness is also self-care, but it can feel very selfish.
Yeah.
But I would like you to think about how taking care of ourselves is something that we can do for others. Feeling good about ourselves, being healthy, being happier, being able to be there for other people and be there for other people in a more, physical, active, healthy, happy way is something that we can do for others. And also, everyone deserves to feel good in their bodies and be able to move to the best of their potential. Like, everyone deserves that. There's no like, well, I don't deserve that because I did this thing or that thing. Like, in 7th grade, I cheated on a test, so I don't deserve that.
Oh,
like, everyone deserves that.
That's a really good point.
Okay, number 2. The number 2 thing that you tell yourself that leads to self-sabotage is, I can't control this.
Oh, I don't like that one.
And I used to do this one a lot. Like, I would say, it's my metabolism. Other people don't get this hungry. Others aren't as busy as I am. And, the author says this sort of thinking comes from always assuming the worst outcome.
Yeah.
But instead of that, you have to practice living in the moment and overcoming hurdles as they are presented to you.
Well, and a lot of times it comes from ruminating and making things much bigger. It's like putting everything under a magnifying glass of, I can't control this. This is out of my control. The more we use giant blankets to cover the problem and say, like, there's no way that any of this is controllable, we're overthinking, we're focusing on the worst case scenario, and we're oversimplifying. Like, this is a small word. Like, I can't control this.
Right.
Well, what is this? Well, I can't control, my nighttime snacking. Really? Can't? Or we add that word yet to the end? Like,
right.
Oh, okay, that's hopeful. But what if we changed can't to won't? I won't do anything about this. Ooh, ouch. You were supposed to say, like, ooh.
Oh,
burn. Well,
big
use
reveal.
a Foley artist at the end.
Yeah,
but
sorry.
That idea of, like, just going big and just saying, I can't control any of this ever. I won't control it, is that's sort of that puts the mirror right back on you. Because we actually can control some things in basically any situation.
Yeah. And look, there are things that are out of your control. And, we did an episode of this show a long time ago called Gravity Issues, or about gravity issues. And those are things that you shouldn't spend your time worrying about, things that are just completely beyond your control, like the weather. Like, you can't control the weather. So there's no point in focusing on that because there's nothing you can do about it. But think about one of those Venn diagrams where there's the 2 circles and then there's the overlap in the middle. There's things that you can't control, and then there's things that don't actually affect the problem. And then in the middle, there's this overlap of, like, things you can control. And I happen to know a certified Tiny Habits coach who can talk about how you focus on the things that you can control, one small habit, one small step at a time. And those things build up over time until you actually are moving the needle on the problem.
Exactly. Am I that Tiny Habits
Oh, you are.
coach?
Yes, that was you I was talking about.
Yeah. So whether you have a Venn diagram of control or just thinking about that circle of control that we've talked about, we can control our mindsets, our habits, the possibility of change for ourselves, adapting our surroundings. There's so many things that we can do. Sure, we can't control our boss's attitude. Sure, we can't control lunch being brought in for, like, the staff meeting, but we can control our responses to things. We can control breaking down a problem into its smaller elements and breaking it into the things that are out of our control and, again, the things that are in our control. We can ask ourselves questions like, what resources do I need? What am I overthinking? What am I overcomplicating? How can I make this easier? What small step can I take right now? Again, in Tiny Habits, which a Tiny Habits certified coach will tell you, is starting with that starter step. Oh my gosh, I've got this giant bill I've got to worry about, or I've got, this big project I need to do. What's the first thing that needs to happen? Breaking it down into steps makes it much more manageable. And instead of just saying, oh my gosh, I can't figure this out, what elements are easy to start with? So, for example, a lot of people say, I can't control this. I don't know, I just can't track calories. I can't do it. Well, Do you have a bar scanner on your tracking app that could track the barcode on a package for a granola bar? Well, yeah, but those are gonna... Why don't you just start there? Start with the things that have barcodes. Just start there, see how it goes. And suddenly it's like, oh, well, yeah, I can do that. It's less scary. If other things feel too daunting, start with the easy stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, the other thing to remember is that in the end, for me personally, and I think for a lot of people out there, like, I was lying to myself / self-sabotaging myself all along because it turned out that I could do it. Like, I just needed to put in the time and the work. It wasn't my metabolism. It wasn't that I get hungrier than everyone else. It wasn't that I'm busier than everyone else. It was that I had to reframe and refocus and put in the work and the time.
Yep. So know the difference between can't and won't.
Absolutely. Okay, so the next thing that you might be saying to yourself that leads to self-sabotage is, can I do this? And this is another way of saying to yourself, this is just too hard, so I won't bother doing it. So you try and protect yourself from failing by just not trying.
Yeah, that's a big one.
It's easier to just not try than it is to put in the effort or to put in some effort and then not get there. Because you put in some effort and it doesn't turn out the way you want, then you think, oh, well, why did I waste all that time? Like, why did I bother even trying when I wasn't going to get there anyway?
Well, and self-preservation can come from a place of wanting to protect ourselves from the exposure that we feel when we don't do things the right way. Oh, I thought you were on a diet. Oh, didn't you do Weight Watchers before?
Yeah.
Those sort of passive-aggressive questions. It can feel scary to expose ourselves to the potential of criticism from ourselves and from others. And so we're protecting ourselves by not even trying. And I was saying to Donald, too, like, being that overprotective parent of ourselves, like, how embarrassing would it be if my child failed, if my whatever, like, so I'm just...
Well, and I think sometimes as a parent that I don't want our kid to feel failure.
Right.
And so I will do things for her, and that's not really helping her. Like, I've tried more often lately to try and push her out of the nest and just be like, you go do this. Like, if it'll be a learning experience if she can't figure it out on her own.
I know. We're making potato soup tonight, and I'm really just it's gonna be hard for me to just sit back and be like, they don't have to be geometrically perfect cubes of potato. So that's going to be a big challenge for me, but I can do it.
I think you can do it.
But that overprotecting of yourself, it's like, if you take like a baby and are like, that baby might skin its knee if it learns to walk. So I'm just not going to walk at all. I'm not going to let the baby walk. Like, let's not.
Yeah, I don't want to see a baby. Like, I don't want the baby to see me walking because they shouldn't know that people walk so that they don't even try.
Right. We don't want that exposure or judgment.
But you can do this. You, listener, you can do this. You do hard things all the time. And the author actually suggests writing them down, which I think is a great idea. And I suggest you own them, that they are your achievements. And when you realize all of the hard things that you have figured out and that you figure out all the time, you realize that you really can do more hard things and you're capable of doing it and you should keep going.
Well, and two, one thing that I really look for is other people who have found success despite challenges or conditions or setbacks. Well, I can't run. Okay, well, is there someone who started walking? I can't lift weights. Find someone in your age group who has done that. There are so many people who have walked before us who have found success. I'm not talking about Olympic athletes who are so far beyond our scope, but people who are just older than us, just heavier than us, just more capable than us, taking inspiration from people a couple of steps ahead of us is a great way to know that the footsteps that we're following, like, are actual I'm not going to be like, oh, well, who climbed Everest? I can't do that. Okay, well, who went from couch potato to 5K?
Right.
Me, I did it. Hooray. So look for others who have done it, because if you can't do this, what can you do? Like, what small portion could you achieve? If you're not ready for a marathon, what first step, literally or figuratively, could you take?
Absolutely. Okay, so the next thing, we're up to number 4 on the things you tell yourself that leads to self-sabotage. And the next thing is, it's my fault, I did this. And this is akin to you telling yourself that there's something wrong with you that just won't allow you to lose weight, instead of really looking at the situation and analyzing your behavior. And the author says there's a huge difference between telling yourself, I failed because I didn't try, and I failed because I'm worthless.
Yeah. Well, and also doing that thing of like going home and just being like, that's it. This is embarrassing. I'm done. That's right. I can't do it. In corporate America, which I was part of, corporate America, USA, there's a big thing about accountability over admitting failure. Saying I failed and then just being like, all right, that's it. I quit. Everybody's fired. We're quitting the podcast. Like, we're closing down the business. We did a wrong thing. How embarrassing. Instead of doing that, accountability matters a lot more than just throwing up your hands, saying, I'm a failure, it's my fault, I'll never learn, and walking away. We don't grow when we say it's our fault and we quit.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you keep going, you eventually come up with the right hummingbird nectar mixture. And at the end of the show, we're going to tell you where you can buy the We Only Look Thin Hummingbird Feeder mixture. No, just in case anyone doesn't realize, we're not actually going to sell that.
I don't know. We could. I don't know. We could switch genres.
Yeah.
All right. So like I said, there's a difference between self-blame and accountability, and what we can do when we see, like, we've made so many mistakes. In this very episode, Donald is bedeviled with time marks for all the times that I've stuttered and had to go back.
It's not that bad.
But here is an alternative that I am delivering to you. So again, being accountable. This happened. I overate. I didn't track my calories. I didn't go for my walk. It's neutral. I gained weight. Okay. That's very neutral. And this is why it happened. Because I bought the thing I said I wasn't going to buy. Because I didn't take time out of my schedule. This is what I learned, is the next one. What I learned from going to the grocery store hungry is that it will probably end in me overeating.
Yeah, this really is a big mindset shift. Like, you don't have to go from, complete negativity to, being a Pollyanna about everything. But just if you can't say something nice about yourself, you can, adjust and make things very neutral. Like, look at yourself as if you were a scientific observer and take out all of the judgment and the shame from what you're observing.
Right. We did an episode called Failure is Feedback, where we talk about this. It's just feedback. If we have a setback, then we are better informed. So this is what I learned. This is what I could have done if, now given hindsight, this is what I learned from it. This is what I could have changed to set myself up for better success. And then the last point is, these are the things I can do next time. And that might take some reflection. It might take some, mindset work. It might take asking other trusted people what they would do in that situation. Again, trusted people who aren't like judgy and mean about it, but like, oh gosh, I've been through that too. And this is how I made it work. So again, it's not about fault and blame. It's about accountability and the adaptability to learn about what you can do when faced with the challenge again. And people respect that. Businesses have come back from big setbacks by taking accountability and talking about what they'll do differently next time. We don't just want blame. We don't want to point fingers. We want to be able to grow and adapt.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so the next thing, number 5 out of 6, that the author suggests that you tell yourself that indicates that you might be engaging in self-sabotaging behavior is you tell yourself that this is already okay.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I'm fine.
And this is about getting out of your comfort zone. you're not happy about your weight, but you tell yourself that it's not that bad, or it's not bad enough so that you actually have to do something about it. And this leads to repeating the same patterns of behavior over and over again.
Well, and the thing with it too is that when things are like, meh, that's when that scale just gradually goes up a pound here and a pound there, and it's not a big deal. And then suddenly, pound by pound, clothing size by clothing size, I'm up 5 pounds, I'm up 10 pounds, I'm up 20. I'm like, and then it happens so gradually that it doesn't feel like a shock. It's not like, oh my gosh, I gained 30 pounds this month. Like, what is that about? We think we need to hit some sort of giant rock bottom moment, this big epiphany moment. And until that happens, it's fine.
And I think that a lot of movies and TV shows and books like make us think that if we don't hit rock bottom, that we can continue on, this way, or that we need some giant like clouds parting, beam of light coming down, epiphany to really, get moving on something. And you don't have to wait for something like that. It doesn't have to be rock bottom. I think if you really ask yourself the question, are you happy with your weight, your current weight? Are you happy with your current, movement? Are you happy with your health situation? And the answer is probably no. Then you really can and should move forward on a plan that will get you to where you would be happy with those things.
Well, and two, it calls on that idea that like now is okay, but we're not preparing for our lives ahead.
Oh, yeah, that's a great point.
My blood work is fine. Like, I'm fine. Like, I'm married. It's fine. Everything's fine. What Gretchen Rubin talks about on the podcast Happier with Gretchen Rubin is choosing the bigger life. Like, is fine enough right now? Or what if everything is just like vanilla, and which is literally my favorite flavor in the world. But like,
people disparage vanilla, but it's pretty popular.
Yeah,
a lot of people like vanilla.
Like, if things are fine, how could you add a little razzle dazzle? Like, what would be a little bit of a level up? Could you add? And I know it's like, okay, if they talk about playing basketball one more time or going for a short walk, like. But what would spice up your life a little bit?
I think you're the only one that's irritated by me talking about basketball.
I've read like 3 books recently that talk about basketball.
Yeah.
From the ladies' perspective and from the male gaze.
Ladies can play basketball?
They did in the last book that I read. And I didn't want to talk to you about it because I didn't want to be like, hey, guess what about basketball, Donald?
Yeah.
See what I'm doing there?
This is where your own actions come back to haunt you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But like when in my 30s, I was like, I'm fine. There's like a long way to worry about my life. I don't need to invest in myself now.
Yeah. When I was a lot younger, it was just a vanity project. And now that I am in my 50s, this is much more about the quality of my life and about moving forward with, continuing to be able to move and enjoy things and to really be able to like embrace vacations, for example, and be around to help the people that I love, and much more about that than worrying about how I look in a pair of shorts. Although I do look good.
You do look good in a pair of shorts. But that like those enhancements, what would make for a more like enriching life? Again, it's like, well, I'm pretty flexible, nothing hurts, whatever. And then if you wait to fix a problem until something is broken, then like that the cost is a lot higher. If you wait to start stretching until you're in a lot of pain, like preventative medicine is hard to sell, I think, sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's like, why not start stretching now? Why not start having more vegetables now? Why not start working on your mindset now? Why not start being the star of your book or your TV show now instead of being a background actor? Oh, I'll do that when the kids move out. I'll do that once the house closes. I'll do that once the project is over. If we're a background actor and that's all we're aiming for, that's not the bigger life. We deserve a starring role in our lives.
And, somebody once said to me that about automobiles, that there is it really stuck with me. I was pretty young when I heard it. there is no problem with your car that is going to get better or less expensive
Yeah.
if you ignore it. And so taking your car into the dealership as soon as you notice the problem, or to the mechanic as soon as you notice the problem, it ends up, fixing it sooner and being much less expensive than it would be if you waited it until the car really conks out. And that's true. The same thing is true, what I'm getting at, of you yourself, your body. Like, it doesn't get easier to fix the more you ignore it.
Well, and part of weight and maintenance, like, just, it's fine. Like, it's not super exciting, but the way we maintain is by enhancing our lives with new and exciting adventures.
Yeah.
Like, we went ziplining recently, which was super fun and something that I wouldn't have done before.
I would never have thought of myself as a ziplining type of person.
But like, that choosing the bigger life matters. And if we can invest in ourselves today, we don't know what tomorrow holds. So why not invest in yourself now?
Okay, so the final thing the author says that you tell yourself that might indicate that you are engaging in self-sabotaging behavior. Number 6, speaking of exciting things like ziplining, you tell yourself, I'm bored. And the author says, sometimes people thrive on drama or having a problem to solve, so they mix things up by sabotaging themselves.
Yeah, my friend actually said that maybe that's why I started gaining weight after I got to my lowest. Because like, you get there, and then we've talked about the hedonic treadmill, where it's like something that's super exciting. Oh my gosh, the new program. Oh my gosh, I hit my low weight. And then like, you're there for a little while, and then the buzz wears off. And then you need some more drama. So if I gain weight, then I get to lose weight again. And then I get to go back to like the action again of doing the thing. Like, hooray.
Yeah. And I think, I don't expect anyone to feel bad for me at all. But there's a point where when I first lost the weight, where I would run into people and people would constantly being like, oh my goodness, you look so great. Like somebody I hadn't seen in a while. Oh my goodness, you've lost so much weight. You look so great, so great. And now, after 5.5, almost 6 years of maintaining it, it's just sort of like, this is just how I am, and people don't say it anymore. And like, there was a point where I sort of missed it, and I can understand the temptation to then, you lose that juice of people telling you. So the temptation of just like letting yourself slide back so that you could potentially, go through losing the weight again to then have people tell you how great you look. And it sounds bananas, but I understand the temptation to do that kind of thing. Well,
and two, I think with that, like the boredom part, we look for maybe excitement in the wrong places in life. Because if people want like, and I think that this is true of like 7-day blast, burst, blah, like transformation. We want like big things to happen. And no one's doing a montage of us like buying pre-chopped lettuce,
right?
Make a salad.
Right. I'm tracking my calories.
Yeah, like
it's so exciting.
He bought new insoles for his shoes. He's got insoles now. Like bum bum bum. Like that's not super exciting.
Yeah.
But if we're looking for like that first kiss, razzle dazzle.
I think we're on to like the new theme song for the show. However, like they bought new insoles, they're checking their calories.
Yeah, I actually need new insoles. Speaking of which, but that like if you're looking for like roller coaster excitement from your vegetables, like I think you need new things maybe in your life to focus on. But something part of that, and this is the big, well, I don't know if it's the big thing, maybe you've got more big things to say.
Yeah.
Is like we have spent so many decades focusing on our weight as an excuse for why big things aren't happening for us.
Yeah.
Well, I can't get the job. I'm not good enough to do that. Like, who would want to hire a whatever? Like, I can't do the thing because, like, I'm not popular. I'm not popular because I'm an introvert. And but that part of like, what if I get to my goal weight And then life is still hard and I still don't get the job. And maybe I'm still socially awkward. And
Right.
and by never achieving it, we avoid that, crossing that boundary into, oh my gosh, what if there's something else afoot here?
Yeah. And, getting to a goal weight doesn't solve all of the problems. And so I think sometimes then people will, they'll lose weight. They'll still have many of the same problems. And then they sabotage themselves to go back up to prove that, well, it really is the weight that's holding me back. And a new plan is exciting. Doing the same things like exercise, tracking food is boring, like we said. So people, say, I'll sabotage myself to mix it up. Then later it'll allow me to start something new.
Yeah.
And we've talked about before the hedonic treadmill, which is the tendency that humans have to need new things all the time. So sticking to the same plan for a very long time, even when it's working, can be really hard for people. It's that phenomenon of you get a new painting or poster or something and you hang it up and you love it and it's wonderful. And then a few years later, it's the exact same poster but you stop loving it and you're like, I really need something new in here to spice this up. The poster didn't change. It's your desire to have something new that interfered.
Well, because it's that thrill of newness that it's actually like an endorphin. It's a chemical that happens in us of ooh, shiny, new, hooray.
Right.
But then you don't even notice that you have it after a while. And it's just, that is an important thing in life. What if you were still excited about the Teenage Mutant Ninja poster that you got 30 years ago? Or if you were still holding on to that new excitement every day.
Some people still are. There's a new movie out.
I know. I just meant it. And you weren't I was thinking actually X-Files poster for you.
Oh, yeah. X-Files,
when we moved in together, I didn't realize that I would have to live with all the X-Files posters that I got you. So that was a whole thing. But that we're supposed to return to a normal state. We're not in a heightened state all the time. But if boredom means to you sabotage, that's not the way to go. Leveling up is the way to go. How can you enhance? How can you push yourself a little bit harder? What new things can you invest in your life that are maybe not weight related, that might give you a sense of purpose and excitement that maybe broccoli is just not giving you? Who knows?
Well, and I will say that hitting a goal weight has really made me look at myself and think about all of the other hard things that I can accomplish. And so it makes me want to try more new and interesting things. And, I'm still doing basically the same things with my weight that I was doing, but, I try and add some variety to those things by trying different foods or mixing up my plan a little bit, but then also adding other new things in my life to get that sort of new thrill and not making it about my health and fitness plan.
So in the end, think about how often you use the word can't and change it up to say won't. Won't is a definitive. Won't is I am actively deciding not to change my life. And that is a choice and it's okay. But just remember, life is better when we invest in ourselves. When we go from being the background actor or the dusty novel off in the background where nobody wants to read it, nothing's happening, we have the opportunity to be the stars of our lives. And that comes with a risk, but the reward is so great. We used to be sad sacks. I will say it. We were victims. We made everyone else the star of the show. Oh, if only we were richer, smarter, taller, thinner, had more time, less stress. Nobody's as put upon as us. We were definitely in the emo food eating feelings, part of the bookstore.
Yeah.
And now we're in the superhero section, and it's a choice, and it takes time to rewrite our narratives, but it really matters. Instead of thinking about self-blame and I can't and I won't, what can you control? What happened? Why did it happen? What can you learn from those experiences? How can you forgive yourself for past mistakes? And how can we take agency and accountability for our lives moving forward? Self-sabotage is there to protect you from hard things. Thank you, self-sabotage, for trying their best with his or her best, with limited, it's not like a devil and an angel on a shoulder. We want to preserve ourselves from feeling hard things, but it's important for us to build up that tolerance and to know that we can survive hard things and that we can actually go from surviving to thriving. Our lives are so much better now, despite being old and wizened in our...
for sure. Oh my God. 53 does not feel old and wizened.
I was just reading a book where someone was like, well, and the mom was 49. Okay, all right. But we have the opportunity to be the heroes in our stories. And the more we can take that agency and accountability, the better our lives become. Letting go can be scary, but the rewards are so wonderful. And I'll take it from Donald. I know that if we can do it, you can too.
Absolutely. I mean, nobody was more lost and put upon than Catherine and I. So.
No one, not you, dear listener.
I believe in you. You can do it. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. We are grateful for each and every one of you. If you enjoyed this episode, they are all still available. Every last one of them are available wherever you found this podcast. We are on most of the major podcast platforms, and you can also find them anytime on our website at weonlylookthin.com.
Yep, and if you are at weonlylookthin.com, you can click on that link for Join Our Support Group to find out more about Wolt Place. We Only Look Thin Place is a Facebook-based accountability group for women. We are not a weight loss plan, but we are a place for accountability, honesty, check-ins, Zoom meetings. I'm doing one tomorrow. I wonder what I'll talk about. I'm very interested to see. But we have great interaction, a wonderful community of just super honest and caring people who are all in it together, regardless of plan. We've got people doing Weight Watchers, intuitive eating, calorie tracking, lots of different things. So come and join us. We've got 2 subscription options, a monthly option with a 3-day complimentary trial and a 3-month subscription with a 7-day complimentary trial to see if Wolt Place is right for you.
So check it out. And you can also check us out on social media. We are on Facebook and Instagram at We Only Look Thin. And you can also send us an email. Good old-fashioned email still works. You can reach us at weonlylookthin@gmail.com. We really appreciate compliments. We appreciate episode suggestions, and we will answer questions. We have answered many listener emails in the form of a podcast episode. We get a good question, and we will turn it into an episode of the show from time to time. So reach out to us. Once again, that is weonlylookthin@gmail.com.
Yep, and we would love it if you had an extra minute and could head over to Apple Podcast and leave us a rating and a review. Every download, every review, every star helps us know that what we're doing makes a difference in your lives, and it also helps other people find our podcast when they are looking for inspiring podcasts like ours.
Absolutely. And another way you could help us out, if you are so inclined, is just tell somebody about the show. Word of mouth is a great way in which the show grows. When people hear from you, they respect your opinion. And so if you know somebody that you think might get something out of the show, if it comes up in conversation, or if you're in an online group, a Reddit group, a Facebook group, something like that, a Discord server, where it would be appropriate to give us a shout out, we would be grateful.
So if you're not at all surprised that Catherine was either quoting Snow White or Thomas Edison, just remember that Catherine and Donald are
an inspiration.
I just talked about myself in the third person. That's kind of weird.
Catherine and Donald. They seem great.
Saint Asasi. And the 7 Dwarfs.
The information that you hear on this podcast is for informational purposes only. The hosts are not medical professionals. You should always consult with your doctor, nurse, or other certified health professional before beginning any diet or fitness program.